the pursuit of happiness has got nothing to do with money. I've had several people ask me about why we closed things like the Cebu call centre, put it on pause and headed off to Europe. The fact is we agreed, even before we got married, that I would bring the kids to Europe and I'd bring April to experience Europe. The reasons being is not only from the fact that a European passport has a lot of usages, not only in Europe, but with the Spanish passport, we've got the Latin-speaking world as well. We want to travel, but also the kids are multilingual. The kids get a passport that gives them the world. They get the opportunity to travel further and have future opportunities they may not have living in the Philippines. Racism is everywhere. And although people will say, oh no, I'm not a racist, it's often the case that when they hear an Indian, a Pakistani, or some other foreign accent on the phone, they will not answer that telemarketing call, but they may do if it was a local person. That's still racism, whether we like it or not. I mean, myself, I can honestly admit, I hang up the phone as well, because I have no interest in speaking with anybody outside of my own bubble, unless they're actually bringing something of interest, and it's not going to come from a random call to my mobile phone. But this is where opportunity comes from, is giving them the opportunity to see the world, to travel, to experience things. It's not about money. Money, for me, is secondary. Being happy is the most important thing. Although we have this small apartment here in La Mata at the moment, it's only a stepping stone. We could buy another apartment within the next couple of years, and we may possibly do. I mean, we like La Mata, we like the location, we like the people here, so it does make it an ideal location. The downside is the work opportunities are pretty much zero. Doesn't mean that everything is zero, because I can work online. I recently started looking at English teaching, for example. The money from these YouTube and podcasts doesn't actually come here. It goes to the Philippines. The money online for the Philippines has actually paid for multiple births. It's paid for medical care for my mother-in-law for having a couple of strokes. It's paid for incubators for a child. A lot of it doesn't actually go on anything of monetary value in a profit sense. It goes on giving people life, giving people opportunities, giving people the ability to at least keep their head above water. Sometimes I pay people's debts for them from medical cover. A lot of the time, this is not what would be seen as a common sense approach, because there is no upside of giving away money. But for me, it's the people that matter. The money itself is irrelevant. This is why, getting back to the call centre, moving to Europe was more important than the business. I can restart things, and I'm currently working on it in Spain. The call centre in the Philippines can be restarted at any point, and we're just looking for the right people to work with, the right contracts, and the rest of it is very, very easy to do, especially when you own the building, you own the computers, you own the whole layout. Means the startup cost is virtually zero. So from a money point of view, I don't really follow money too much. I turn down jobs on a regular basis purely because I want to be at home rather than travelling around the world without my family. Some people will struggle to relate to that, but I've spent a long time away from home. When I was in Oman, I was away for 4.5 months. When I was in Qatar, I was away for a month. When we were looking to move to the UK, I was away for a year. These are long periods of time away from the kids, away from my wife. And it's not living a life, it is being part of life. So you need to carve what you want in life. And it's not an easy one. This is why right now we're sat here, not sitting pretty, but trying to muddle our way through getting things moving in Spain, which has probably been the hardest country I've had to deal with, purely because bureaucracy rules here. There's paperwork for everything. The Spanish-speaking side of it, although it's my fault I don't speak Spanish, is also one of the biggest problems I have, because I could probably go to Madrid to work. In fact, I've actually applied for a job in Madrid because of being able to commute to it. So there is opportunity still there, even because the company that's interested in is actually out of London. But you really need to assess what you want out of life. Are you better off working an 80-hour week, for example, to pay the mortgage off early? Or are you better off doing a 50-hour week and spending more time with your wife and kids? And still making the mortgage payments, although it's going to take a lot longer, you'll actually experience more about what life is about, which is watching your kids grow up. It's about seeing the things around you. It's about experiences. It's not just about money. Money is driven by consumerism. Although it's nice to have money and be able to retire early, I agree that's a good thing. From a consumer point of view, buying a new car means absolutely nothing to me. Having a big house means nothing to me. I'd much rather have a small house here in Spain, the house that we have in the Philippines, and maybe one in the UK. The main one being the one in the UK for renting out, the ones in Spain for living, and the ones in the Philippines for living in. But beyond that, a house is only a box. Do you really need as much space as you're taking up? Do you really need as much stuff in your house? I find the more you have, the more you spend, but the less you need it. You know, if you bought a suit and ended up with 40 suits, you normally find that the one suit is the one you prize more than the 40 you've got in there. It's having a connection with stuff. Everything has to be worth something. You know, I find if things are too easy in life to achieve, then they become worthless. If, for example, I collect pens. I do buy pens, and each one has come from a different contract. And each one is a little sort of trophy of finishing a contract and being able to go home. But also, they all have sentimental value. They're not just purchased for the sake of purchasing. I think that's what separates me from the way a lot of other people think. I simply don't need most of the stuff people buy or desire. They have very little meaning to me. What's your thoughts? What drives you? Do you think money's more important than travel? Do you think money's more important than family? Do you think that it's better to earn it now and enjoy retirement? Or do you think it's more important to enjoy things before you get to retirement while you're still young? What's your thoughts?